Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing a little fantasizing. We're dreaming about living the good life. Now, as you probably already know, flea markets are perhaps one of the best places to find great bargains for the home. Because, you know, sometimes you can cheat and make things look really expensive when they actually aren't at all. The trick is to look past the rust and the dust and imagine what the objects would look like. Now, to prove our point, we found this wrought iron bench. Now, it didn't look too great. No, nothing to write home about. Well, that is until after we got our hands on it. Now, let me show you one of the things if you don't want that lovely rusted patina look and you really want to do more of a painted look, and sometimes metals on some of these things really aren't that charming, if you know what I mean. For instance, we're going to show you with these jack supports here. This is about the condition that we found that bench that you just saw in our before picture. Not so hot, okay? Now, we wanted more of a formal sort of French look rather than sort of an antique flea market barn Adirondacks look, if you know what I mean. Okay, so one of the products that we found that we really liked a lot is this stuff, and this stuff is called Metal Etch and Prep, okay? This is great stuff. This is going to help you eliminate the rust when you don't want the rust. First thing you want to do, you want to take a wire brush, and you really want to scrape a lot of this stuff off, get all the big stuff off. Okay, you want to rub that. You can see right away that's starting to help a little bit. Also, sandpaper works really, really well too. Okay, you can see the powder just coming off of there. Actually, see where I'm actually getting down to some of that metal there. Let me wipe that off. Wow, see that does a lot right there. Now you're ready to etch and prep. Okay. That's this stuff here. This stuff is then painted on, and you'll watch this stuff go to work fairly quickly. They suggest that you put this on, and you literally, at this point, let it sit overnight. It's almost like oven cleaner. It actually starts to bubble until you can actually see down here where it's beginning to bubble up a little bit. Now, the longer that stays, the less you have to do this. You can see that we're getting some real breakthrough there. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? So literally on a big oversized object like the bench that we're working on, if you let this sit overnight, practically all you really have to do after you've done a little bit of wire brushing is just let it sit and then wipe it off and hose it down. Because the idea here is we're going to paint the surface, we're going to prep that surface so paint will adhere to it. Let me move all of this out of the way. Okay, good stuff. I recommend that stuff. Nice thing to have in your prop closet. Okay, now here you see this is the result of that liquid. It's all been hosed down now, and it's pretty clean now, really ready to accept paint. The first thing we want to do, just like any other surface, is we want to prime that surface. Here you see where we've actually primed the surface. This is a Rust-Oleum primer. We like Rust-Oleum because it's made specifically for outdoors and metal, and that just gets a little, okay, all the way around. Let that completely dry, and at that point, you're actually ready to paint. Let that dry for, I would say, a good 24 hours. Rust-Oleum is oil-based, okay? Then, we're using a Krylon top coat, any color you want, all right? Here again, spraying is always better. A lot of people spray way too close. You don't want to spray like this. You want to be back about that far. It's a good idea to get a big moving box or something, split it open, and make yourself a spray booth. That's what we do. It's the best way to do it, and that way you're getting a good, even mist, always working from left to right, from top to bottom, okay? Not bottom to top, because you're dripping over, you know, okay, fine. Now, something else that you can do, we have some liquid gold leaf here that you can get at just about any craft store. You'll see when we see our finished bench how we've taken and we've actually added a little embellishment to it, okay? Now this liquid gold leaf takes a minimum of 2 coats, and use it sparingly, but just that little sparkle will really give it sort of a look like forged jewelry, which is really quite nice. All right, now something else that you want to add to this now is some decoration as far as upholstery goes. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can spend a lot of money on some really fabulous fabrics. This is a great fabric. It's from the Jab collection from Stroheim and Roman, and it's just a really, really beautiful stamped velvet tapestry. Now, this is kind of pricey, this fabric. This is a real designer fabric, but I'll tell you, a fabric like this, since you're only going to use a couple of yards of it, really is going to look rich and opulent by the time you're done. Now, here's always the bottom line. If you can't afford something, you're going to have to pay for it either with money or with time. So this is a place where you pay for it with time. These kinds of projects are a great idea to sit in front of the TV and kind of do them, or talk on the phone while you're busy with your hands, because it's kind of dumb work when it's all put together, okay? So I'm going to make a very pretty little pillow here. So I'm going to start out face front. The next thing I want to do, where's my, find the end of this, there we go. Okay, then what I want to do is with a pair of scissors, I'm going to take a little trim cord. This would go obviously all the way around the pillow. And I'm going to lay this way, because it's going to get sewn in. Okay, I'm going to pin this all down. This is going to get sewn right into the inside of my pillow. The whole thing will be turned out. Now remember, when you're using a sewing machine, you always want to put your pins in so they will easily go under the pressure foot. So you don't want to put them in this way. Okay, you want to put them in this way, like so. Okay? That gets pinned all the way around, all right? The next thing we want to do is get some of the seam tape. This is good old bias seam tape, which is a lot of fun to use. And then the next thing I would do then is I would want to create, come in for a border right underneath that. And I'm going to want to pin this down all the way along the edge here to create a really nice border. So I'm going to do that. Here again, this is just straight line sewing. That's all this is. This all gets pinned down to create what looks like a miter, so on and so forth. Then when we're done, you can just embellish. Here I would add, let's say, another panel in the center here, and maybe add even some more of this cording around the outside edge. And when I'm all done, I get a pillow that looks like that. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, it's real opulent looking. Here again, if you can't afford something, you got to pay for it with time. That's kind of what we're explaining here today. Let's take a look at this bench and how gorgeous this looks when it's all pulled together. Isn't this gorgeous? Now here we've also added 2 bolster pillows on both sides, and we've also added a cushion seat. And then we also, to give it more of a whimsical quality, there were tiny little finials that seemed out of scale after we put all the pillows in. So we took styrofoam balls actually, and we hot glued them after we had posted them, and we put those balls on the tops of each of the arms and the back. A little touch of gold leaf and you are in business. Isn't that pretty? Okay, well, you've heard of jewelry for the individual? Well, how about jewelry for the home? Up next, you're invited to tag along as we take a private tour of a New York designer's gallery showroom. Yeah, right here. So stick around.